Gurmaigad Chairley agus dúspóir tamáinte sésta bhí sasart an seánart agus ag tuairtaíart an bille cuanas agus go máú mór Martha máú tiltte ag Pádraig McLaughlin a tháinig hantásaí leis an bille seo agus fásta ag na hagraíart pobl I lige tamuíonn sin ar cúil an factas agus ar chean rádaí don factas seo fáinne cuanas a bhaint thuirteiste go dtí críúir an rialta seo agus go héirí go mbeadh scrúdú cuanas ó hiú an céanásnis atá an gapíon agus tuigim fásta ggóil ictú agus siptú ag teartamá go leidir iniu ag réid gur thortaíart ó thuirt don bille seo agus sin cótha ionta leidir go héirí ag pártaí nach debre agus an ceangal a taú sin leis an céard cumann siptú. Ach ar an drochhair tá sé ionta saillar go bhfuil a pártaíon Loch Debre agus na daoine a bhí bhfuil si tofa sean seo mar buil bráúil dá siptú go bhfuil si do gáil inéan níomhhain an céard cumann sin a go bhfuil si do gáil inéan tal na grúpaí pobl atá chuhantasaí an arghain seo. Agus gáil inéan tal an fuairtí. Mar go bhfuair seo mar fallasaí an fuairtí go mbeadh cuanas tótha iste a gcrúléir céanásnis na tíre seo. Chairperson, I'm delighted to stand here and support this legislation. I think this legislation isn't revolutionary, it's not unrealistic, it's a simple step forward in the way that a normal democratic society should be dealing with their affairs. There should be protection for the 6 different areas that have been listed, 6 different groups that have been listed in this legislation. And very importantly, equality budgeting should be the cornerstone of how we deal with budgets into the future. The question we have before us in this legislation, and the question that deputies have to ask themselves when a vote will be called later on tonight, is do they fear equality? Do they fear fairness? Or do they want to turn their back and protect themselves, protect the government that they're involved in, and continuing with the budgets that they have implemented over the last number of years, which are a far cry from the slogan of equality? I've listened and I've watched to the contributions that have been made in this chamber, and I must say I'm amused. I'm amused particularly at the Labour Party, who is voting tonight against their party policy on equality budgeting, against the trade union that many of them are proud members of and shop stewards of and have a long history in that trade union, SIPTU and ICTU, which both have come out today asking all members of this House to support equality budgeting and this legislation. I'm amused at the squirming of Labour deputies in particular at trying to come up with reasons why they can justify voting against the issue of equality. We've heard from Kieran Lynch telling us that equality is a subjective concept. It is very much similar to the cries that were made by the PD leader, Michael McDowell, which said he was against equality. And I can just say to the Labour deputies today, the Labour deputies of 2013, can you imagine if you transpose yourself back in time to nearly 100 years ago, and one of your leaders was in place of the great Labour leader James Connolly, when they sat down to discuss what would be in the proclamation of the Irish Republic, and when James Connolly put forward the notion that all children of the nation would be treated equally, that the Labour Party of today would say, well, equality is a subjective concept now, James. We can't have that in the proclamation, because that is the message that you're sending out here today. Why fear equality? Well, the answer probably can be seen and the type of measures that this government has introduced over the last 2 years. Because equality isn't a concept. Equality is something that is rooted in the Irish people. It is something that is very dear to them. But it is something that is very distant to this government, as has been seen by their actions over the last number of while. We've seen it time and time again in budgets. We've seen it again in a presentation that was made by the Carers Association in the AV room today. And they will not be the only group that will come in here asking, demanding, begging that the government and TDs bring forward the issue of equality and fairness. Why attack carers when the most wealthiest in society are being protected? Why attack those in special needs while those in the privileged elite are being protected. We know that there is no easy way out of this crisis. We know the mess that Fianna Fáil, their banker friends and the corrupt developers have left this state and the country in. But there is an equality way. There is a fair way to get out of this. But what this bill would do, it would lift the veil of this government who likes to proclaim that they're standing shoulder to shoulder with those who demand equality and fairness, but in their actions are doing something far distant from that concept. So I commend this bill. I hope that the Labour Party deputies look into their conscience and vote to support this legislation which their party dictates of them to support. Good morning.